Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good evening, everyone, I should say. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the BMU Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, followed by my partners, as always, the brother Trey Ferg, the OG, Dante, coming out of Dallas. Hopefully our man Shawnee will be joining us tonight soon as well. Good to be with you guys on this Wednesday evening as we chop it up in the world of sports. As you see scrolling at the bottom, see our Cash Apps. If you appreciate our content, we appreciate anything that you're dropping our Cash Apps for us. But more importantly, we ask that you support the BMU Network. It gives you content 7 days a week on various topics. You'll find something certainly for you in this space. It's just good to be with you guys here on this Wednesday night. So I'm just going to go around the room and just get the temperature of everybody before we get into the show tonight. So my man Trey Ferg, what's life? How's life treating you, my brother?
What's up, fellas? I mean, life is rolling, man. You know, the weather's getting a little rainy. It's still been a little rainy all week. You know, had some family issues. I mean, I had no family issues. A long time father of one of my best friends just finally, you know, departed and got that funeral on Friday. So mother wants me to be a pallbearer, you know, long time friend, man. So, you know, just trying to take it all in, man. So other than
I
that,
hear you, man.
How
about you, Dante? What's going on?
Man, everything pretty good over here. Just making it through. Really, I'm really getting into the Olympics. I had my daughter watching the team last night, and she saw Simone Biles and Jordan Childs, and she hadn't stopped flipping yet. And so that's what I wanted. They put it in their time slot, so she got to see. We didn't get to see the end because they had to go to bed, but I'm just excited to see them. You know,
you didn't leave them. You didn't. Well, hold up. You let them go to bed, man. Out of everything. If it was the Super Bowl, hang on. If the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, you would leave them up all night.
If it was a weekend, I would have. But it's a Tuesday night, and it's like they gotta. I'm really trying to get her in order because she starts school in about 2 weeks.
I'm just dying, bro.
I know, but I wanted to. I was pushing for it, and the wife was like, "Nah, we got to set them down." So.
Well, thank goodness for a stream, for recording on stream or YouTube or whatever. She can certainly go back and watch all the action. But I'm doing well. Actually, Trey, to your point earlier, I laid my mother to rest this past Friday, and so she's with my dad, and so both of them, resting in peace. But I'm in a good place. It's been a long journey, and just good to be here in this space here, and really just being in this environment on the BMU Network has really it's been therapy, it's been medicine for me. And so I just appreciate all the support and love I get from BMU and all the folks, within this space. I really appreciate your thoughts and your wishes. But our man Shawnee, our other Texan, has joined us tonight. So what's going on, my man? How you doing?
What's up, fellas? Everything going good. I had to change headphones on because I forgot to charge my other one, so I had to get my.
They sound good though. The ones you got, they sound good.
They better. They better, but they the ones I reserve to work out with.
But I could tell. I could tell that. It's good audio on there. Good audio. Yeah. And just FYI, I mean, Dante's playing Daddy tonight, so again, we may have some guests who may make their way on the screen as well. So I know how it is, bro. So y'all still in the thick of it. But good to be again here with you guys tonight. But yes, shout out to Team USA, Simone Biles, the GOAT of all time. Nailed the floor routine to win the gold, the second consecutive team gold for the Team USA women's gymnastics. Shout out to the men's team. All right, first time they've medaled in the game since 2008. Got the bronze medal, and and the one thing I always say, when it comes to sports, in particular, the general topic of happiness, I always say that happiness is at your level of expectation. If you get above your expectation, that's where your happiness is. If you meet expectations, that's your contentment. If you go below expectations, that's a negative. It doesn't matter where you finish. So here it is. You got team, I think it was China, who got bronze. I mean, got the silver, and they weren't very happy about it. But the men, knowing that they weren't necessarily expected to be on top, got that bronze, and they were just ecstatic all over each other like they won the gold. So I just love seeing that. So it's all about how you see things and whatnot. But I know sometimes in some of these places, you come home with the silver, it may not go well with you by the time you get home. So I just certainly salute the men and the women, certainly for the accomplishments. Now you're going to have the individual routine is going to be coming up and whatnot, so I'll continue to follow that. But that's always been a favorite. I know my wife, she just goes crazy over that. That and the swimming. I hear her all the way downstairs screaming and clapping and whatnot for that stuff. She really gets into it during Olympic time. So it's good. It's been a good experience so far. But what are your guys' takeaways so far? I don't know how much of the games you've had a chance to watch, but what are your early takeaways so far from the games? And what are your takeaways so far?
Well, first shout out to the women's rugby team. I think this is the first time. I don't think they ever medaled before, and they got the bronze. It was like a dramatic ending when who was they playing? Oh, was it Australia? Well, they scored basically at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And had like many, little time left, and U.S. was able to break one free, and they won after the extra point. I was laughing, I guess, because when the U.S. scored, 'cause like in football, okay, the touchdown and then the extra point now in the NFL, it's this whole drama where kickers be missing them now. But it's like it came like that. 'Cause what is it now? 30 yards now compared to the 7 or whatever it used to be. It was real close back then. Well, in rugby, they have their own version of extra point. And when US tied the game on the dramatic end of game touchdown, whatnot, one of the teammates was like, shut up. They wait for the extra point. I'm like, okay, the extra point may be like the NFL. It could be a crapshoot sometimes like the NFL. And then when I saw the lady kick the extra point, and like the lady look like she literally like standing like 5 or 10 yards from the uprights. I'm like, man, that's it. Man, y'all go ahead and celebrate that end zone, man. I mean, I guess Australia, they missed their extra point, but they was kicking it from the side. I don't know how they're gonna make that anyway.
Right.
They kicking it from I'm like, how you gonna make that? But US was like dead in front of it, 5 to 10 yards. But yeah, congrats to them, the ladies on there. And speaking of which, I know the women's gymnastics, they won gold in the team. And I don't know if y'all remember what's her name, Michaela Skinner. She was on the Olympics team back in 2016. She was a former teammate of Biles.
Right.
Well, apparently, I guess, I don't know, sometime recent when this new American team was put together, she made a YouTube video criticizing the team. She said Biles is good, of course, but she was like the other women on the team, they lacked the work ethic on that. She went in on them.
Wow.
So if you look at Simone Biles on her Instagram, she took a picture with her teammates after they won gold.
Yeah.
And she put a caption, something about like lazy, whatever. And it was an indirect shot at Skinner.
Flat back.
But Skinner, normally, okay, if you're gonna say that, stand in it. You the one who ran your mouth, you stand in it, the US backed it up, so you can't complain when it's coming at you. But Skinner goes to YouTube and deletes her video, and then blocks Biles on social media. I'm like, oh, you foul.
Yeah.
You foul. You want to
nothing
throw
like
it out there,
and nothing like success. And nothing like success.
That's a true hater.
Sweetest revenge, baby.
That's the perfect. I guess that's the perfect revenge. And I think Biles only did like a one-liner in her caption and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm like, you gonna delete
that's the
your post
definition
and
of
then
a
block
true
it.
hater. That's a true hater.
Absolutely.
The unique thing about Simone Biles, even in this Olympics alone, she hurt her ankle early on and still was finishing in the top 2. In the floor, in the floor, she had gotten better, and she was, I don't know, man, just her technique is probably the greatest ever, because when she do those tucks and those, man, she be so locked in, hitting the floor just perfect. She even messed up one time, but that's been the highlight. And the swimming's. Anybody watch the decathlon?
You know what?
I
I
didn't
didn't
I
catch
haven't,
it.
I haven't catch any of that yet. No.
I'm trying to, because I got both. I have it on cable, but I got the stream, and so I try to catch it. But when I'm in the office, it's tough to do. And then like I was trying to catch the Team USA live, but I just couldn't. And like by the time I got to lunch break, it was just like ESPN had already broke it to me that it was going, and I was like, dang, I missed it. So, but they have the primetime recap, and yeah, you're right, Shawnee. That's one thing I love about the Olympics is look, I don't get to watch rugby much at all. But the fact that they was like, hey, this is a medal game, it was an exciting play. Like to me, I don't know how they get down in it, but it looked like it was the length of the field, and she got it, and she was gone. And that
She
was
was
just
gone.
like, so it's exciting when you're rooting for your country. And like you said, like Mr. Bennett about level of expectation. You know, this is Australia. This is their sport. If you want to look at it
Exactly.
that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you beat them for a medal, so it's just like, and like the guy from the gymnastics team, they said on the broadcast, was like, he has not taken that medal off. And I was like, and they was like, yeah, he's probably not gonna take that off for a while. You know,
Yeah.
you could, you know, that means a lot that you work for these 4 years to get to this point. So I agree with like a guy like Bomani just said, like it's really for the other sports, not per se the basketballs and even the tennis, because you have like your pinnacle when you can go. Even though it's great to be an Olympian like Coco Golf, I know she's still alive and you know to be pushing
No,
for it.
matter of fact, she's out. She lost the doubles.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
So
I have not.
her Olympics is over.
So she cried and
Wow.
everything. She was crying
Man.
and everything.
But no, I saw it. I saw you, Trey, in the comments. I saw what you said about Team USA. Like, nah, they won today. I think it was like 108 to 86.
No, it was 103. It was 103.87. But I honestly, I still didn't think they looked good doing it. I mean, Sudan does like a. They were up 19 at the half. Then I think South Sudan they cut it down to 8, and then they kind of went on a run. But they were an irritant, you know. And there were a lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy play, a lot of guys getting scratched. So again, one thing I don't think we got a chance to talk about last time, Jason Tatum was a scratch, I guess for the opening game against Serbia. Yes, they won by 20 plus, but he was a scratch today. Joel Embiid was a scratch, and so again, Steve Kerr, he's certainly faces some criticism on letting these guys who guy just won a championship, but again, it's about the optics, about who gets playing time, or you trying to put the best team on the floor to win. And so again, what do you guys say as far as his personnel decisions and whatnot, and how this team is looking? I tell you, he's not looking good though. Steph Curry, I haven't seen him play a really good game yet. I think he might be showing his age here, but I guess because he's one of the old vets, he gets his share of playing time. But I haven't seen him go off, as you say, certainly in this run already. But I think he only had like 3 points today. So you might have to reconsider that. But then how does that look? Here's your coach making sure you get your playing time, but then other guys who might be more deserving, they're not necessarily getting it. So what's I just don't like winning. Okay, but what do you guys say about that as far as with the basketball? How's that? How do you guys? If you guys had a chance to watch either the game against Serbia or some of the game today against South Sudan, what do you guys think of the result? Why don't you go first, Trey?
I mean, I just think that, of course, the U.S. team is stacked. I think you're going to see this throughout the whole Olympics. So a player's going to sit out. Now, as far as Jason Tatum, early on, I think they probably are sure to win, but I think Jason Tatum is going to be one of the stars that lead them to gold at the end. Because Steph, you can know who's going to play. LeBron, unless he wants to sit out. AD, Steph, I don't know, and KD. Those four are going to be in. Everybody else is going to have to play their way through. But I think Jason Tatum, he just came off Olympics. Steve Kerr understand he's a championship coach and the championship player. He ain't going to tire him out. He going to save them. And when they need him, all the studs, Anthony Edwards, Tatum, watch. I believe they're going to take over and just be able to run up and down that court on the rest of the Olympic team. So.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about on
I was
that?
watching the game.
Go ahead.
I was watching it, and I'm curious if they go. Because you heard all the noise after the Serbian game about Tatum not playing. Well, I'm curious if it's gonna be noise because Embiid didn't play.
Right.
Now, Embiid has not been looking good this Olympics at all. Matter of fact, he's been kind of slowing the team down.
Hmm.
And I never made a big deal at all about Tatum play because it's all about matchups. It's two different styles, Serbia versus South Sudan. Serbia used their bigs, South Sudan tried to turn to a track meet and launch threes. That's all they do for the most part.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, it was just a matchup thing. If Embiid would have been playing out there today, I think he would have been looking bad because he would have been running. And on top of how he's been, I know you mentioned it's been about Curry hasn't been looking, he hasn't been cooking like we normally are accustomed to seeing.
Hmm.
But Embiid, he just looked like, at least Curry, he just missing the shots on the floor of the offense. With Embiid, it's like they making an attention, to get him involved, and then it kills the flow. But I thought they did pretty good. What's his name looked good. The one who replaced Jalen Brown, his teammate.
Oh yeah. Yeah, White. Yeah. He's a Swiss
looked
Army
good.
knife, man.
He looked real good.
No,
And I'm pretty sure
I'm glad they signed.
nobody about him on the roster now.
Yeah, I'm glad they signed him to that new contract with the Celtics. You better keep him because he's just six man. He's your best six man coming off the bench. So he just does it all. He makes the defensive play when you need him to. He'll hit the big shot when you need him to. So he's just an invaluable player that you definitely want to have on any team, quite frankly. So I'm glad they made the decision. And yeah, and certainly to the earlier point about Brown not being on the team or why they pick him over Brown. Certainly, White's definitely proving that they made the right decision. So so kudos for that. But Dante, what's your thoughts on the matter in terms of Team USA basketball, how they look in, and the coaching decisions that have taken place so far?
For me, I've basically been able to catch up the highlights and what's going on. Like that way, I haven't been able to catch them live much. But hopefully I can catch in the quarterfinals on. I can try to catch him. But I'll say this: when you look at it defensively, Anthony Davis might be the better fit defensively. Him and Bam might be the better matchup some nights. I know he's still adjusting to playing internationally and how the rules are. But I would say those two guys attacking. Matter of fact, I think Bam was the leading scorer today with 18. When I was looking over,
he looked really good. Yep.
And Steph, you're right. He was 1 for 9, 0 for 6 from 3. So that's just one of those where it's just like, yikes. You just have, hopefully hope it's an off night. But, with Kerr being a coach, he's going to get, a lot of leeway. But I'll say this, you want to win the goal, but I don't think you want to just run certain guys into the ground. We have such a deep team, talented team. So hopefully Coach Kerr will, rotate it. And tonight, this guy's night. Tonight is that guy's night. And just like you said, Shawnee, it depends on the matchups. But I just want to see them. I personally want to see them look good, their best against the gold medal contention team. Because I know the battle with France is coming. And so I just want them to be ready.
Bird couldn't even play. Bird could barely play. Man was in traction half the time. He couldn't even practice with the team. He was clear that was an ambassador pick because Magic was there. I think Magic was on the team, but he could barely move. Yeah. And the Isaiah snub, which is still the most foul act that Michael Jordan's ever done. Certainly. You can make an argument Isaiah Thomas is probably top 3-point guards of all time. If you just look at his total resume and just what he brought to the game, being 6'1", there's no reason in the world he should not been on that team. It was Jordan that Jordan hated or whatever, and they just capitulated to MJ. But there's no way John Stockton should ever get playing time over Isaiah Thomas. That's still the biggest snub of all time.
I can take John Stockton on that team. You know why? Because there's no damn way Christian Laettner should have ever been in the audience or nowhere in the fucking Olympics. He shouldn't have never made that team. He shouldn't have been on there. He's in college.
I think there was that collegiate.
That was the first transition. I think I guess they tried to make a transition. I get it. I mean, that was at the time they felt he was the best. At that time, he was considered the best player in collegiate basketball.
Have you ever seen that since? That was the only time in the history of the game.
I get it.
Come on, man.
But the bottom line is it wouldn't have mattered because, again, MJ said, if Isaiah plays, I don't play. So they made it so it wouldn't have mattered. If you had 2 roster spots on there, he wouldn't have been on there.
Yeah, they gave him the Laettner because Jordan said no. He's like, I'll be with y'all. I do no. I mean, I understand. So, fellas, before we move on from the Olympics, I got a trivia question.
Mhm.
There's 2 events in the Olympics that exclusively came from inner cities. The
Well,
Black
one, you got the
community.
breakdance. Well, you got the breakdance number one,
Yes, that's one.
and
You got it, brother Bennett. You
what's
know
the
it.
other one?
You know
What's
it.
the other one?
Huh? Y'all don't know it? Y'all got it?
Man,
Breakdancing.
from the inner city, not stickball. It's oh man.
I'm trying to go down.
Well, guys, I get one. You guys got to bail me
Summer
out.
Olympics. Well, I don't know.
Give me a 50-50.
Inner city don't do no Winter Olympics.
It's 3 of y'all. Come on, Dante. Give your shot.
Inner
Well, I guess
city.
3 on 3.
There you go. You got it, man. It's a 3-on-3.
Oh yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So
Speaking again of the Olympics,
Americans love both of them games.
again, just to kind of give a current medal count. Again, so United States leads in total medals with 30. France actually has 26, and People's Republic of China has 19. Interesting.
What
China
that gold
has
medal count look like, though?
the gold medal count. China has the most. China has 8. Paris has. I'm sorry. China has 9. France has 8, and USA has 5. But the thing that gets me is that China has 3 in the swimming events, not the platform diving. But I'm like in swimming. Like I have never in my life, the Americans, the Germans, the Australians. I have never seen China considered a factor in swimming, and now you got the swim team winning gold medals, which is freaking to me. I mean, I guess that's what happens. You put a national initiative behind, putting athletes in the games or whatever, but they seem to be all in on these athletes. But the fact that you can have, yeah,
right when I tuned in, there was a Swedish lady. She was 30 years old. I forgot the length of the race, but she upset an American, and nobody even had her expecting to win. So I'm starting to see, a lot of times Americans, they don't have, besides maybe basketball, but hell, we can't even do that because 3-on-3, we lost all 4 of our games, both men and women.
yeah,
But Americans are not. I guess you normally see them on top. Now you got the individuals now about to start with the gymnastics. So
right.
Biles about to take over that. You still got basketball for both the men's and women.
Mm-hmm.
Track hasn't started yet. So I'm trying to see. I keep an eye on the gold medal count.
Yeah, but France is hanging in there again. They got 8, and they kind of spread out. France has 3 in swimming, 1 in canoe, 1 in fencing, 1 in rugby, and 1 in triathlon. So they're definitely spreading it. They're definitely spreading it out. U.S. has 3 in swimming, 1 in fencing, and 1 in artistic gymnastics so far. But again, we know that certainly more on the way. Yeah, I think the Shoney's point, a lot of upsets. That you would think it would almost swing. They should have a lot more goals, but they got upset by some people that people expected for them to beat. So, but with that said, going into
one last thing I'll point it out because the Olympics are in France this year, and they go about the country, to the various events. And then I was watching the surfing one time. I was like, what are they having that up there? They're not having that in France. They're having it way down there in the Pacific in the French Polynesia. That's
yeah.
I think they said during the open. I said I know they didn't attend the opening ceremony then.
Right.
But I think they showed them remotely. So wherever they are, I forgot the name of the island. Yeah, you got some beautiful water down there. I'm like, they're definitely not in France. So,
Definitely. But Shawnee, you might want to take on, I guess, this next topic. So the main theme for the show tonight, we're looking at this $1 billion club. All right, so we got some QBs from the class of 2020, and they're resetting the market. And so if you just want to summarize or just kind of give us a breakdown of that, I'll turn this segment over to you, and we can chop it up on these quarterbacks, the draft. I mean, not the draft, the off season. It's folks are in training camp, and so however you want to go with this conversation. But let's talk about these QBs, man. What's going on?
So the topic is basically I was catching this. I thought I heard this on one of the radio stations I've been listening to. But basically, the 2020 NFL draft, the more notable names, we're not talking about all of them, but the more notable names of the 2020 NFL draft have recently just signed over $1 billion in contract extensions.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, those QBs are Joe Burrow. He got a 5-year, $275 million. Justin Herbert has a 5-year, $262.5 million. Jalen Hurts, 5-year, $255 million. And Jordan Love, 4-year, $220. And finally, Tua Tagovailoa, 4-year, $212. So all 5 of those quarterbacks were drafted in the same class. And I mean, I was hearing like people throwing whispers out there. Could this be potentially be the greatest quarterback draft class of all time? That's way too early.
All right. Well, I got here from the NFL. They actually make a we can chop it up. We can talk about these draft classes here. So, some of them might be certainly older than us, but we can certainly chop it up on there and see what y'all think about it. But yeah, go ahead and continue. We can come back to it.
So basically, out of those 5 quarterbacks, which team do y'all think will ultimately go and regret that decision? And to me, when people be talking about quarterbacks, and I'm looking at Dante's caption right now, how much does a franchise QB cost? I think people when you hear people start making these points about what quarterbacks, this quarterback don't deserve this much money, this quarterback don't deserve this much money, they always go and compare them to these elite Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like, dude, it's a reason why they have a tendency right now is basically Patrick Mahomes. It's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is looked at the way he is. But you don't have a quarterback does not have to produce like Patrick Mahomes for his team to win. Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback right now in the NFL who does not need an A1 receiver, and he proved that he could win to a Super Bowl. He's the only one. And so these other QBs, yes, you're going to have to give them weapons and put a team around them.
Right.
But most of the time, they are productive. And so I think all 5 of these QBs, their contract is valid. Now, Hurts, Herbert, Burrow have no problem with those 3. With Love, I mean, we talked about this last week. With Love, he basically got his money on half the year last year and how he performed in the playoffs. So it's a very short span, and then bam, he immediately got his extension. Tua, he's shown it don't matter how he looks like if he was with another team. With Miami on this squad, he proved that he can lead this team to wins. Now they got to do a better job of playing on the road. But I remember when Brian Flores was QB, he wanted him gone. He wanted a different quarterback.
Right.
But all of a sudden, Mike McDaniel come. Now you see this dude at one time he was like in the MVP talks before they started losing these key games. So out of those 5, which one do you think that the team, I guess, will ultimately regret giving that decision to that QB?
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead. You don't have one?
Tua. I would say Tua, and I will say Lawrence is one that I felt like maybe they felt like they had what's going on here. I felt like they had to because of the investment and how he was heralded. But I kind of agree. I'm not sure which national talking head said it, but I believe it was like, hey, he's kind of getting paid for what you thought he was in college. And then every now and again, he'll make you look a certain way. Like I know he looked awesome in that comeback win against the Cowboys. I would say 2 years ago. He looked great. And, he looked really good. But then in the playoff game, they won that game. But my gosh, did he look terrible. He said 2 Super Bowl appearances and 0 rings amongst them. All of them were overpaid. All right, Trey, here we go. We're back to what we were saying. How much does it cost? Would you rather pay them what they're paying them? Because I've heard like different broadcasters, YouTubers say this. And he says this one time, he said, okay, take all the money that you're paying the quarterback and say, all right, we're not going to pay him that. You got to pay whoever you're paying the quarterback something. But you can make the best team all around there, and at some point it's going to come down to the QB. So it's like at some point you do have to say, hey, you're paying this guy this amount. You have to pay. There's a price for quarterback that you have to pay. If you go out there with the Brian Hoyers of the world, or who's the guy that with the gimmick, Gardner Minshew. You go out there with the guys like that, you're going to get the results that you get. Where it's just like, hey, I need somebody better. Well, I think Tua is the one where they'll feel like it's a mistake. I felt like Miami and the way they roll and the offense, I felt like they could have tried to go get a young quarterback. They've shown they're aggressive in the past. I think their picks are all kind of basically replenished from that Texas deal and other deals they made. And I felt like, why not just go for it and trade up and get a QB? Let Tua hit the market and go ahead and get the comp pick for him. Get the comp pick for him or trade him and try to find something else. Lawrence, I understand. I'll say this. Hurts is one that I won't say they'll regret it, but Philly, as mean as they are, they're going to make them feel like they regret it just because if you look last year, there was some regression in Philadelphia. Don't Andre hear me, but there was some aggression up there, and it was some when you looked at it, it didn't look so good. So I want to say those are ones that you might look at and kind of. And I know I'm a fan of Herbert, but I need to see winning on the field, and I hope that Harbaugh can get it to happen. I know he doesn't. It's again, the other question you asked, so I'll hold on to that one. Trying to say about what you said about pass catchers, but I don't know. Overall, I think they're all good and talented quarterbacks, but I just think Tua stands out to me. It was just like I don't trust it. I don't trust it. The health is in the back of my mind, and then when it's for lack of a better term, when it's really time and it's on the line, is he going to get it done? We saw it in college, but we got to see it on the pro.
Well, let me ask you. I follow this up. That question, Dante. If you have an issue with Tua. With the contract, basically, he receives mainly because of its background and injury. What is that? How does that differ from Love's contract for such an extremely short period of time? Basically, he got hot last year, but then you don't know how it's going to be next year because it was just so short.
I'll say this: the last thing is also based off of projection. I can project that Tua. I don't think because my thing is the biggest mistake we make. I'm not paying you for what you did. I'm paying for what you're gonna do. So sometimes when you pay that agent star, it's like that's why Clay didn't get the bag he wanted. I'm not paying you, Clay, for the the 50-something in these minutes and all that stuff. I ain't paying for that. I'm paying for what you are, 34-year-old. What are you gonna do going forward? So that's where we're at. And I think with Jordan, which he saw you in a year of starting. And like you said, the beginning started off slow, then got it going late, and took toe to toe with the NFC, ended up being NFC champ. If you can do that, and let's just be real, Christian Watson ability but injury prone. Romeo Dobbs, nice player, and then after those two, it's just a bunch of nameless, faceless guys that are just good players, but I can't think of their names off the top of my head because they're interchangeable. I think the Packers kind of do that on purpose. So I felt like you're paying for projection, what you think could happen. And then the thing is, lack of a better term, man, he had a lot of balls. Like you took me in the first round, you sat me, then I came out and played good, and then I'm not going to play until you give me a deal. They had to do that. And so I was like, I felt like he had a situation. Tua did not have that. They could have played hardball with Tua, like, all right, we're going to go ahead and let you play out. And then Tua's agent might have let him know that, hey, let's go ahead and play ball. And then if you play and you get a chance to hit the free agent market, of course, they have the looming franchise tag, but they have so many financial responsibilities around you, they might not have been able to pull the trigger on that tag. And I felt like that would have been a play for both teams to where if he balls out, then you say, hey, let's back the Brinks truck up and let's keep him. That's what I personally would have done. But, I respect them for saying like, hey, this is the guy we have. And one thing I'll say about these deals, we don't know what triggers they're on there until the contract people get in there and see, hey, there's a trigger in here that after the second year, if things ain't going well, then they can cut bait. So there's always those options where you can cut bait on guys. But I do think that's a unique thing about that 2020 class is that it produced some talent.
Well, I'll take a stab at this one. One thing interesting about the contracts, though, certainly for Love and Tua, they only got 4-year deals instead of 5. So I don't know if just given again Jordan's I guess freshness, his inexperience, or Tua's injury history. I'm not sure if that's factoring into why they got 4 instead of 5. Out of all these guys, though, I may have to say Burrow for the simple fact that, again, I don't know if he can stay healthy. Now, Tua, it was looking like he was going to be that guy. I mean, we all saw the hit that he took and the frozen fingers and all that kind of stuff, and it was looking kind of scary for him, whatever, but he did have a bounce-back year. He has one of the ultimate video game weapons in Tyreek Hill, who's trying to stay. He said he wants to stay with the Dolphins, so he's not going anywhere. So he's got an excellent weapons around him. So I gotta say that So I was about to rock with Tua, but Burrow worries me. I just don't know what's his health going to be like, and he's had some major injuries. He has another one that we can, it might be a career. I hope he can stay healthy. Herbert, I want to give Harbaugh an opportunity. We saw when Harbaugh was back in the league, what he did with man from San Francisco, took them to Kaepernick, took them to a Super Bowl, and Jordan Love. Y'all already know how I feel about Love, so I think that he is the next out of the great Green Bay Packer quarterbacks. And I just think that he's going to be a problem in the league, especially in the NFC Central Division. Shout out to Hink, who's already throwing hate out there because of that. How them Bears doing? But in any event, but yeah, I gotta say Burrow, because it's just he when he's in there he's terrific, but I don't know if he can stay on the field. So I think that's the one they may be regretting. I'll give Jalen one more year to see, because that team imploded on so many different levels. The defense couldn't guard. They couldn't get the offense going. So I'll give Hurts another year. Burrow, I just don't know if the guy can stay up. So I'll
agree with Dante as far as the most risky. I believe that would be Tua. Hold on. Because there's no injury worse than a head injury in football. There's no injury worse. You can recover from a broken wrist, finger. They get dislocated fingers. Knee injury. You see guys come back from ACLs, MCLs, and Chubb is getting ready to come back from a severe leg injury. Damn near reconstructive. So he may have an impact, but a head injury and the way the world saw him sort of cringe up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, that's a risky hit, because understand he still has to play and go on turf. I think all NFL's football fields should be grass, but, they plan on that turf, man, and that turf don't give like grass in the dirt.
Right.
So a major slam, and you can't, I'm sure they're changing the rules, but he can just get caught up in something trying to hit somebody else and just get, it could be ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I can go either way with that. Like I said, he is, as Trey saying, he could be Trey Taylor one hit away from being a soccer dad. I agree with that. I just think he has a better supporting. I think he just has a better supporting cast. But Burrow, again, a little too brittle for my taste. But speaking of this class, thought it'd be good to. Now again, I went to the NFL.com and they kind of had these top 5 classes of all time. I'm not even going to deal with most of them because some of these guys go back 1957 or 1971. So I'm not. I don't know if it's I'll just go through and you guys let me know. So according to this, now you can just based on this list that they gave me, I can make you might be able to make a case for this list of QBs here that we'll be talking about. This is one of the top QB draft classes of all time. So the 5th rated class is 2005 that had Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Castle, Jason Campbell, Kyle Orton, and Derek Anderson. I don't look at that as a great. I mean, you have one out of the.
All the weight on that.
What list? Is that? What year did you say?
2005.
Come on, man. They ain't even in the. Come on.
Fitzpatrick was serviceable.
Come on, man.
And he had his moments. You know, that's why he
I'll give Fitzmagic. You know, he would come in. He if he needed something, he would. He wasn't.
Fitztragic was just as legit as Fitzmagic. That dude was. You talking about Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Yeah.
He'll go. When he's on, he looked like an elite quarterback.
Right.
Even when he's off, he does not look like any type of NFL quarterback.
Right. And I would say only one Hall of Famer out of that class, certainly who will be Rodgers. The fourth on this list is 1957. Len Dawson, Sonny Jurgensen, Jack Kemp, John Brody, and Mitt Plum, who I've never heard of, to be quite honest. Now, again, I know three of those guys are Hall of Famers. Dawson, Jurgensen, and Kemp. I believe they're I believe that at least Jurgensen and Dawson are. I'm not sure now about Kemp, but those guys are Hall of Famers. Again, I know Lenny. He won the Super Bowl IV, which was big for the NFL because that was the last. That was the last AFL NFL game before the merger, and so that was big. He had the Jets who won the year prior, and so it was nice. But yeah, so so I don't know, but you'd have to be like real historian to kind of to be able to appreciate that. The number 3 class, 1971, Joe Theismann, Archie Manning, Jim Plunkett, Ken Anderson, Lynn Dickey. So you have 2 Hall of Famers in Joe Theismann and Ken Anderson. I think Jim Plunkett should be a Hall of Famer. He's got 2 Super Bowl victories. All right. So I don't mind if you want to put him in as a legacy pick. I know his coach, I think Tom Flores, got in because he had gotten 2 Super Bowl wins. So again, if you're gonna put him in the Hall of Fame, I think Jim Plunkett should get some love. Didn't have the greatest record or stats, but how many quarterbacks have 2 Super Bowls? So I and if Manning goes in, then I'm sorry, like the son Manning, if he goes in, then I think Plunkett needs to be Plunkett needs to be looked at. Now here's the most interesting one, and this I
think Archie probably would have had a better career if he was on a better team.
The Saints were awful. They were the Aints back then. Yeah,
man, you look at his sons; they wasn't always looked at by far as a mobile quarterback. You could not say that about Archie.
Right.
That dude, I'm like, I saw some highlights on him. I'm like,
yeah,
no, Joe, athletic as hell.
Yeah. Now Joe Theismann was nice. I give that. I think if he didn't have that awful injury, that broken leg with Lawrence Taylor, I think he would have been a Hall of Fame. I think he was he had a late start. But I think he had a few good years left. He might have gotten some Hall of Fame consideration had it not been for that injury. Awful. Most if you're old enough, I saw it live. I don't know, Trey Ferg, did you see that live when Theismann got his leg broke? Did you see that? Yeah, that was hard to watch, man. That was just that was tough. But here's where it gets interesting, right? The 2004 class: Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Matt Schaub. So right now, I see in the near future 3 Hall of Famers. Don't say that, Trey. Don't think so. See, that's wrong. That is so wrong. You are so wrong for that. But I see 3 Hall of Famers coming out of that. Schaub, Shawnee, you can speak to Schaub since he was in Houston for a number of those, a number of those years.
He had a flash of goodness, but then once that team went 2-14, they kicked him out so fast, which I didn't agree with. I didn't agree with it because he went like 12-4 the previous year, and then went on and lost 14 straight games, and they kicked him. That's when they kicked out him and the head coach. And Keith Stoney showed up on Schaub's front yard.
Right.
Oh, like,
now, also with that class, 4 Super Bowl victories, 5 Super Bowl appearances. So that makes a strong case with that team. Now, the last one here, the one that everybody likes to talk about, and I was there when this was out, the 1983 class, you had John Elway, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, Kenny O'Brien. Everyone raves about that's the greatest quarterback class of all time. Yes, you have 3 Hall of Famers there, only 2 Super Bowl victories. And those came late in John Elway's career. Jim Kelly went to 4 and lost them all. Dan Marino only went to 1 and lost. So again, and John Elway lost 3. So they probably have the most Super Bowl losses of all time. And so I don't know if I would want to take this class over the 2004 class, just based on just overall, results.
Might be better, even though that's where it comes back to quarterback wins not really being a stat because it is a team game. That's the testament of it right there. Because I think if you on the board, if you had obviously a time machine, if you had Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, John Elway on the board, even though Brian you had those guys on the board versus the '04 class. I know you might be partial to Big Ben, but it's because I would say he was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. But all of them were, really good in their own right. But yeah, I don't have a high opinion of Eli just from seeing him so much, and it's just like sometimes it's special, a lot of times it wasn't. Especially later in the career, it was just like I saw him get his ass kicked a lot. And it was just one of those. It's like, stay very, a good quarterback's supposed to have more, even when not around you, I'm supposed to see it. But like when he lost the tight ends and stuff, and it was just like, it was just throw it up, close your eyes, throw it up to Odell. Like his numbers are so crazy at the beginning of his career. But I don't know. I get your point.
But is he a Hall of Famer though? But today,
no,
you're not putting Eli in the Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't know, but I know he's going to make it. But no,
that's what I'm asking.
No, it would be one of those where they would be screaming and mad and crying, and it'd be having years up for eligibility. I'd be the voter, be like, no. I'd be put, I'd ask somebody pushing for you to make it. I'd be like, nah. And he has to because
all right, Trey Ferg, I need some wisdom here, man. So we go back to the '83 class. We were there when that stuff was going down. We saw the 2004 class. So make your case. 2-8 record, the 1983 class in Super Bowls. Not a great record whatsoever. But try to put some context to this from going back in the day, sir.
The Hall of Fame is not about Super Bowl wins. It's about the victories and the yards for a quarterback.
Okay.
So all 3 of those quarterbacks, Marino, Kelly, and what's the last one? Elway. They have the yards, touchdown.
I don't actually. I gotta look this up because I know both Ben, Eli, and Rivers. They all have like 60,000 yards. When Marino retired, I think he retired the all-time leader. He had 60, and then you had guys starting to pass that. I'd have to do a quick calculation.
Well, if I match it up to the same amount of time that all players were in the league. So, they wasn't going 18, 19. They were going 15, 16. So I equate that too. But you have to put Eli because he won 2 Super Bowls doing probably the greatest domination in the history of football with the Patriots. He won 2 in there, and he beat them to undefeated.
Beat them both times. That's right.
You got to put him in there. He won 2 Super Bowls. And then you look at a lot of those other players. Ben Roethlisberger, 2 Super Bowls.
And 3 appearances, 2 and 3.
2 Super Bowls. And then who was the other one in that group?
Rivers. Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers didn't win a Super Bowl.
No.
Probably went to the playoffs.
There's some decent stats. He was I'd say he was a very good quarterback. But again, it's just interesting because it was Eli was supposed to go to San Diego, right?
Yeah.
But he opted out, and I guess they went with Rivers instead. So
I'm trying to compare. I think Rivers had the stats,
and Drew Brees had it. He had a Super Bowl.
And Manning had the rings. So it's basically like I think somebody was asking, is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback? And you'll just be looking. Of course, he doesn't have the rings, but you'll be looking at solely at his stats. I'm trying to pull them up now because the website you can compare players' stats and whatnot, but that's basically. And you hear so much people are so certain that Eli's going to make it because of his 2 rings. And me, quarterback won his rings, but to me, I always look at it, especially in football. I cannot just give credit like that only to the quarterback. It's too much of a team sport to me. So, but then so you're looking at one is looking at the rings aspect, and the other one you look at the numbers aspect, the individual numbers that he put up. Eli has numbers himself, but I think Rivers has more. So
Yeah,
it's gonna
Rivers
be
has
interesting.
Rivers has 63,000 plus passing yards. Eli has 57,000 passing yards, and then I think Ben is like over 50 plus. Hang on, if I get
What's the touchdown?
Ben Roethlisberger only has 50,000 yards.
might be close. Hang on.
So, hey, you know what I mean?
No, he has 64,000. So you got 63,000, 64,000, and 57,000. So that's like 180,000 yards total passing with those three quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And what's the touchdowns?
Let's see here. Ben has 418 touchdowns, 211 interceptions. Manning has 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions, and Phillip Rivers has 421 touchdowns, 209 interceptions. So basically about 1,200 touchdowns between all three of them.
I mean,
So Rivers' numbers, it compares.
Phillip, when you look at Phillip's numbers, like I'm looking at Phillip's numbers compared to Eli, when you look at them side by side, it's one of those where it's just like, all they got to do is do this, do the helmet catch, and do the what was that incredible throw he threw to Mario Manningham and that second one against the Patriots. Those were like Hall of Fame moments, and then you got other times where it's just like,
right.
But that's and that's why I say about the whole quarterback record thing, where it's just like Phillip Rivers, who what is he? He was on his teams. Didn't have the playoff success. What was he? 134, 106, and Eli was 117 and 117.
Right.
It's one of those deals where it's like sometimes you look at the numbers, but if you were there watching, like we all saw them, it's just like, I felt like Rivers was the guy where it's like sometimes we put so much focus on the rings, and it's like, because of without the rings for the team's success, he might wait a few years. Like I want to say, but he shouldn't be a guy where it's like he's waiting, and the Veterans Committee got to pick it up.
I finally found the website comparing them all. Yeah, Rivers pretty much dominated Manning in every numbers category. He has even 8 Pro Bowls to Manning's 4. Literally, the only thing Manning has over Rivers is the Super Bowl rings. So as much people, if you hear saying Manning should be in the ring because of that, Rivers should be going in right there by him because his numbers, pretty much all aboard, is better than Manning.
So each class is going to have 3 Hall of Famers, right? But again, 2-8 in Super Bowls. Again, Dan Marino with that offense. I remember Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, that team. They were airing it out, but only 1 Super Bowl appearance. I can't. And Marino's a Pittsburgh guy, so I would love. I wish that's the biggest mistake the Steelers ever made was not drafting Dan Marino. So I mean that's so he should have been a Steeler for those years, but he wasn't. And then in those Super Bowl losses, I mean, come on. I mean, Kelly and Elway stunk it up. I mean, those Super Bowls like both. That's when the Super Bowl wasn't watchable because it was like 30-0 at the halftime or whatever. So I mean, really, a lot of those guys didn't even show up in those games. But Ben, even the one that he lost, it went down to the wire against Aaron Rodgers. He had the ball at the end of the game, so it was a tight game, and couple plays could have been different there as well. So I know it's an interesting combo. I think older guys are going to go with the 83 class, but I think when it's all said and done, I think people certainly look at this 2004 class differently. But the question is again, where do you think this class that we just talked about with these 5 quarterbacks? What do you project? Are any of these guys going to get a Super Bowl? In your honest opinion? Well, go to the Super Bowl. Burrow's been once, and Hurts has been once. So
I would say yeah. I'm thinking that especially with a good coach, even though he has the toughest situation, he has to stand 2 times a year. He has to stand against Mahomes. I think that Herbert could get there and get one. I know the Chargers dysfunction wise, but when I do trust Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh is one coach that I was just like,
Yeah.
if the guy was never going to pull the damn trigger, I wouldn't have minded if they would have got him, a guy that's going to play with a physical mindset. He came in and drafted a tackle. It's just like, look, I'm going to protect my guy. They got Rashawn Slater on the other side. So it's like you got your bookends. I believe they took a guard last year, one of the guards that were highly rated. So it's like he's building. It's like he's got the pieces to build something where, like, look, we're going to run the ball. I know they got Gus Edwards out of Baltimore. So it's just like he's trying to get something like compliment the quarterback, protect him, give him a running game. I know they jettison the receivers, but I think he's one. Burrow, once again, he's one that I don't think they give enough. They don't do enough shame for him on the injury prone. As much as we do it for Tua, and it's rightfully so, head injuries, you got to really consider that. But I will say that Burrow, maybe this year, because the media has their darlings, and I know he's a darling in the media because they want him to be on the same plateau with Patrick Mahomes so bad. It's not. It's like he beat him one time in the playoffs. We understand the head-to-head in the regular season as well. But when he got there, he one finished, one didn't. And one is finished multiple times. And it's just like, stop it. Patrick Mahomes is here, and then every other quarterback is in their own realm. And I do feel like Burrow can do it, especially with a guy like Chase. It's just that it's the two guys I just mentioned. It's the Bengals and it's the Chargers. Franchises that you don't make synonymous with just they're going to make the decisions long term to be there and compete. So that's the only question.
Right. Yeah. And Trey Taylor, he made a point earlier about you don't need the superstar quarterback or whatnot. I honestly disagree, especially in this era now with Patrick Mahomes. You got it. I mean, these days, if you're going up against him, you have to be exceptional. And that whole idea of, yes, you've had great teams, great defenses, the 85 Bears, which is the most overrated team in all time, is my personal opinion. But 85 Bears, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, those 2000 Ravens and whatnot. But generally speaking, those quarterbacks who win Super Bowls, these are the Hall of Fame and above levels. These guys take their game to even Terry Bradshaw, who didn't have the greatest stats for a career. I think he had like 200 touchdowns and 212 interceptions or something like that. I mean, not the greatest stats, but when it came Super Bowl time, the guy always stepped up big and played big in the big game. So I think more times than not, you can have these outliers of teams who won with a marginal quarterback, but generally you need that dude, especially if you got the ball in your hands at the end of the game, who's going to win that game for you. And I think that's where Brady comes in. That's where Mahomes comes in. And those are the guys who generally get it done. So I get why are you hating on again? I just said no. Theismann would have been a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for that injury. And Mark Rippon, he did win that one, but again, who did he play? Oh, he played the Denver Broncos, I believe, and the Denver Broncos got blown out as they usually did in the Super Bowl. So again, I mean. Unless you have, I would give me the Hall of Fame quarterback over everything else, because when it comes down to the end of the game, I want that guy to have the ball. But unless you got that legendary defense or whatever, the 2000 Ravens or the 75 Steelers or something, I'm not taking that risk.
So, Brother Benny, my last thing, and I know you're a Pittsburgh fan, but if I was to compare Eli Manning and Terry Bradshaw, pretty much the same. But again,
the
difference was Terry Bradshaw had Hall of Fame receivers. His entire team, they could have took 11 on offense and defense and just put all of them in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it's a tale of two eras. The 74 and 75 team, those guys barely played. In fact, Starworth and Swan, they didn't even play in the Super Bowl. Not the first one. So they won that on defense and Franco Harris the first two. Then in 78, when they opened up the offense and they put in that Mel Blount, shout out to Mel Blount, who is better than Deion Sanders in my humble opinion as a defensive back. But shout out to him. Look at their stats. You won't laugh. Pull up. No. So you went there. You insulted. You besmirched me. Pull up Prime stats. Pull up Mel Blount's stats. Okay, Mel Blount was Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think, does Deion have a DPOY?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Defensive Player of the Year. All right, but look at their stats. Look at total interceptions over a 14-year career. And again, Mel beat up people. They had to change the game because of Mel Blount, because he was beating people up within 5 yards. That's why they put in the 5-yard bump rule.
Yeah.
So again, those first two they won with defense, and then the last two they opened it up after the Mel Blount rule, and that's when you saw Swan and Starworth. That's when you saw Bradshaw get off. Right. So again, two different eras. And that defense got old by 78 and 79. They weren't the same defense. They had to air it out to win. So totally different context.
You wanted me to pull up the stats, Mr. Bennett.
Pull them up.
Pulled them up. I pulled them up, and we just going strictly by stats. Nah, it's not even close based on stats. Now I know you.
It's not close on stats. How many total interceptions?
Total interceptions. Blunt has that 53 to 57. He has that.
So what close? Wait a minute. You're a defensive back. What is your job?
But you, Mr. Bennett, hold on.
What is your job? What is your job? Now answer my question. What is your job?
He intercept the ball, but Sanders eliminated half the field. They wouldn't throw his way.
But
they wasn't going to throw his way.
Brown, you couldn't get off because he was huge. He was at that time in the 6'3", 210. He was built like a linebacker. He was slamming guys to the ground.
All pros is 4 for Mel Blount. It's 8 for Deion. It said where it has listed. It says AP Defensive Player of the Year. They both have one. It has that. And then UPI Defensive Player of the Year, Mel Blount has one and Deion doesn't. So it's one of those things where it is close as far as if you look at the pure numbers. Now, obviously, I could not get a chance to watch Mel Blount. So you have the experience to be able to see both. So you have a different perspective. So I won't do it as far as Mel Blount. It's just that from what you said, I've heard Deion say this. I didn't like his comments where he besmirched the other guys in the hall. I do think there were a lot of great football players. I do think some of them don't belong when I look at it sometimes, but I'm not gonna. Some of them I didn't get to see them, so I'll leave that to people that saw their careers. But I'll say this: there is, I think, an upper crest of Hall of Fame. No matter which Hall of Fame it is, there are ones that this guy got in, but there's the upper crest of the grit. And I will say, it looks like Mel Blount's one of those guys that he's got on.
And mind you, given the fact that he has more career interceptions than Deion Sanders, but when it comes to Deion, what do they call him? They call him the best what?
Best promoter, man. The best stuff.
No, the best cover. The best cover corner. My man didn't like to tackle. My man said he used to like to make those business decisions. He wasn't going in to take guys out. I've seen Deion whip on a lot of tackles back in the day. He wasn't that dude to get in there and get his hands dirty like that. Best cover corner, I'll give you that. But overall, everything, size, speed, defense, tackling, the whole package.
He was the template.
Mel Blount was the man. And if I had a second, now the only guy, I may give Deion a slight edge over Ronnie Lott. Because Ronnie Lott, not only was he a Hall of Fame level on his defensive back, he didn't switch to safety and was a Hall of Famer there. And you knew Ronnie Lott would lay you out. So that was a dog too. So, but those might be my top 3 of all time. I know, shout out to Revis Island and all that, but as far as corners, I may have to put those 3 certainly on the Mount Rushmore. But yes, given my bias as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, yes, I'm going to pick Mel Blount over Deion Sanders, and I don't care, Deion, you can pat all you want to, but hey, that's my that's my segue tonight.
Well, I
mean, go take the conversation off course, but
I wanted to see that whole. For whatever reason, they didn't include Blunt's stats at all, and the particular solo tackles and forced fumbles. They just left his blank. That would have been interesting to see compared to, because Deion, like you mentioned, he wasn't known to really stick his nose in there. He was basically
he wasn't. He made those business decisions, man.
Yeah, so I mean,
Mel Blount did it all.
Styles.
He could tackle. He could pick the ball off. He could do everything. I'm sorry.
I hear you, Noah. I want to get to what Trey said to kind of prove against this point. I hear you about having a great team. Line it up against the teams of the Super Bowl that we just saw. We don't got to think far. Let's look at the advantages. Take the quarterbacks out of it. We'll add them last. Let's look at offensive line. San Francisco. Let's look at defensive line. Let's look at total defensive line for what they had. Let's look at offensive weapons. with Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, look at running backs, Christian McCaffrey. Let's look at all the variables of a team. Let's look at secondaries.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have an advantage in KC because they had Steve and he was locked down.
Yeah, Steve was dog. Yeah.
So you might say they have the secondary, but you got the front seven, you got the offensive line, the two key things in football, and better weapons. And then when you add in the quarterbacks, who won the game? My thing is, when you have a superstar quarterback, I hear what you're saying. And on theory, or better yet, on Madden, it works. But then when we put the real players and we go ahead and that guy has the juice and it's like, hey, they're down 10. I don't worry about it. Here he comes and go to overtime. Not even bringing in coaching, which I think like we need to. Kyle Shanahan, we need to bring his feet to the fire. Like that decision he made in the overtime was kind of like, hey, bro, what are you thinking? So
see,
like,
you see what I gotta be subject here. Mel Blount was better than Aeneas Williams. No, you stop it, Aeneas. Talk about some Aeneas Williams, please. And Rod Woodson, look, played for my team. I saw Rod. Rod was feast or famine. Yes, he would make that spectacular play, but he got burnt. I know your boy Michael Irvin burnt him on multiple occasions. So again, feast or famine with that guy. But Mel Blount, he changed the position. All right. I don't know if there's no Deion Sanders rule. There's no Aeneas Williams rule. None of that. There's no Rod Woodson rule. I'm sorry. It's Mel Blount. All right. So watch some old school video. The guy was incredible. But please don't be drop some Aeneas Williams on me, please. I don't need Aeneas Williams.
But I'll say this too. Trey, when you mentioned about hey, you mentioned the point where the Washington won those Super Bowls with those different quarterbacks. And shout out to Doug Williams, Gremlin HBCU alum for winning that Super Bowl. Look at the time period that it was. It's hard to almost compare that time period. Just like I know people talk about I can't compare the Cowboys era, the last time they were Super Bowl relevant and winning Super Bowls, to this, because it's a salary cap era. It's a totally different thing. So you damn sure can't compare, those Super Bowls that Washington won. That's a totally different, you could switch quarterbacks. That was a different team and how good those teams were. Props to them for doing that. But I don't think you can do that in today's NFL. And we've yet to see a GM that has the gall to be like, you know what, this quarterback's too expensive. We're going to find another one and rotate them out. You would think the Cowboys could do it because the GM's never getting fired. You can only get fired one way, and then he's going to be replaced by his son. So, but they don't even do it. It's just like when you got a quarterback, you pay him, you keep him. And it's, like you said, now maybe you can test that theory out if Jane Daniels is as good as you think he can be. If he's that good, you tell me if you're going to pay him or not, or will you willing, and watch DC burn. Watch them burn if he's a good quarterback and they let him walk or trade. Just throwing that out there. But Shani, I know you mentioned that really. I know we don't got much time left. You want to get on that topic that you mentioned?
Oh yeah. So it was another topic I threw out in the chat. So basically, especially in today's NFL, it's more vertical. With the promise of the receivers and all that. So, what do you believe is more important in today's NFL? The wide receiver or a pass rusher? So do you believe in the fact that, one big con that a receiver has, they are totally dependent on their quarterback. If they don't have a quarterback throwing on the ball, or if he's just not on the level as some of the elite ones or the above average QBs, their numbers will suffer. That's why I give receivers like DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson so much props, because they spent a lot of time without, good quarterback play and still be able to produce real good numbers. So that's the downside of a receiver. Pass rusher, yeah, they can get, double team. Let's see, Aaron Donald triple teamed. But, for offense do that, you're sacrificing a lot of your offensive personnel because you're giving so much attention to this one dude. So basically, which one? I guess it just depends on your style of play. Do you want to go to keep have this airborne attack? Now, when I heard this topic on the radio on a TV show this morning, they were saying that okay, this is the most important position in today's NFL. They looked at it as a bigger scope. Receivers are the ones that, okay, the game is going, defensive plan, everything, they keeping everything in front of them, and the receiver is the position like, we need a big play. We need a big play. The defense right now is just stopping everything at the line. If you have a receiver of that ilk, they'll literally get past, blow by the defense, and score that much needed touchdown, potentially game-winning touchdown. And when they do that, those deep balls, the fans get into it. Those you generally produce like the biggest blast from the fans, the biggest reaction when the receiver makes these deep catches. And so, it leads to points being scored and whatnot. So I guess if you look at the bigger picture as far as a league, I guess you could say maybe the receiver, because it brings excitement to the game. Some people just love to see Port score. Now, me, I like both sides of the ball. You put a pass rusher. Okay, yeah, you will need somebody who can put that quarterback on his back that could potentially save the game for his respective team. So I want to hear y'all thoughts about that. What do y'all think?
I've never seen an elite wide receiver per se win a big game for you. That team, that Patriots team that had Randy Moss, that team that went undefeated in the regular season. Where was Randy in the Super Bowl? Generally, what happens is against the better teams, they take away your best weapon. So in that situation, I've seldom seen where a wide receiver, not since probably maybe Jerry Rice, where wide receiver made that much of a difference in the game. So I may have to go with the pass rusher again. If he's that legit, you double teaming him and sometimes triple team him. I know when the Green Bay won that Super Bowl with Reggie White, they were triple teaming him, and that just let other people then eat on the quarterback. So yeah, I think I would definitely go with the pass rusher. I think they can certainly close the game out, and they can certainly give that quarterback less time in order to get the ball out to that receiver. But again, the better teams. I mean, when Belichick was there, I mean, his whole thing was, we're just going to take away your best weapon, and then you're going to have to win somewhere else. But the elite pass rushers, doesn't matter if you double team them, whatever, they're still going to impact the game. So I would lean towards the pass rusher.
What you got, Trey?
I don't know, man. I had one answer when you started. Then I'm listening. I'll just say like this: the quarterback is probably the most sensitive position. And then I thought about, okay, as a receiver, I got to get down the field and try to make a catch. But then I haven't seen many times in the moment the big moment where the actual receiver is going to go up, catch the ball, save the day, win the game. Edge rusher, although I see, if you get to the quarterback 16 times in a season, you consider an elite edge rusher. And even though you may have other players double teaming them, the likelihood of getting to the quarterback still could be 1 in 4. And I think I would just go ahead and say the quarterback. Hold on. I'm going to take it back. You gave 3, but you can't have the quarterback without your blindside tackle. So I don't know. That's a very important figure. That's why tackles, doing the grunt.
You left tackle. That's your bread and butter right there.
So
left tackle.
As far as important on offense, yeah. And even also, I'll go with the quarterback, but the tackles, that's 1A.
Now, it's not the quarterback; it's the wide receiver. The question was, will you want an elite wide receiver or pass rusher?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say pass rusher.
Yeah.
I was about to ask Dante, but he.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. My son getting anxious over here, man. He's getting late. He's getting anxious over here. It's almost bedtime. And so, yeah. So I'll say for me, I'm going to go with edge. Just because the receivers, and I saw you, and I give you props for this trade in the chat. You have the same thing as me. The edge rushers for the most of the time, like if you name off some of the top ones in the league right now, they are normally first round. There's very rare that you get a guy that good later, whereas you can't find a receiver later And as much as we love the elite receivers, if you look at it, just name a few. Myles Garrett, first first overall. Michael Parsons was in the top part of the draft. I think he was like 11 or 12. T.J. Watt, rare exception later in the draft. Max Crosby, multiple, I want to say in the middle rounds. And then Nick Bosa, top 10 pick. Josh Hines Allen, I know he changed his name. That was a first round pick, top 10. Then you got DeMarcus Lawrence, who was in the second round. Khalil Mack, he was a top 5 pick. Alex Highsmith, I'm not sure where he was drafted. I know it's the Steeler guy there. And then you got like Trey Hendrickson. I believe he was a top 3 round pick. So it's like when you get to the top guys, that's how what does it say? I always say protecting the quarterback and affecting the quarterback. So that's why you're always going to see those great tackles. And I know you guys said left tackle. Now the game has changed. If you only have that strong left tackle and that right tackle is weak, they're going to attack that right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive coordinators will attack that now. So now you really got to have those guys solid and in interior. So when they try to put them there, guys that can and I give the Saints some credit here. Since Breeze was smaller, they did this heavy. They had a good center and guard rotation because they wanted to make sure that he could step up in that pocket because he was smaller. So so it's all about affecting that quarterback. So I love me a star receiver. I'm an offensive guy, but I'm gonna have to go with that edge rusher, man.
Yeah, so it's unanimous. Sean, you
what did I choose? Well, I guess I looked at the big picture. I chose receiver just because of everything that comes with it, because how it brings people to the stands. Because people love to see offense. Now, kind of goes against what I say. When I'm saying if I look at college football, I can't stand the offense of college football when they start getting those super scoring spurts and 60 something. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is the defense, man? What y'all? I mean, scoring brings excitement, but NFL, the defense is generally there. College football, at times when they go against a team that they just so much better than, or the defense on both teams, especially in some of them Colorado games. I just can't stand looking at a game where the defense look like they just should have stayed in the locker room.
Yeah.
Then it'd be 7-on-7 basically. I'm like, y'all show no pride out there, man. But
Sonny, you just got to be honest, man. You partial to the receiver, man, because you played receiver, man. You wanted the ball, man.
But I'm always a receiver is nothing without the quarterback. So that's the biggest con I have to put on the receiver. If you don't have a quarterback sling you the rock, no matter how talented you are, you're gonna have very limited times to make an impact on the game. Whereas a DN, they can. I mean, you can scheme a receiver, but it's still got to be the quarterback getting you that ball. DN, they can scheme you, and then ultimately you're gonna find a matchup, and you're gonna kill. It's no different when my Cowboys played against the Falcons one time. Dante, who was that Falcons? That dude, I think, entered the game with like 2 sacks and left with 6.
Chaz Green was the tackle, and the
Claiborne
was Claiborne, Adrian Claiborne.
Yeah, he was not no type of superstar pass rusher, but he killed Green. And just once you find that matchup as a DN, you can just dominate, and then there's really another team you can really do about it.
But let me ask you guys this: what would you rather have if you want to talk about elite, all pro, Hall of Fame club? Would you rather have an all elite edge or tackle? So if you had your choice, pick whatever edge rusher that you want, and then you look at a guy like Joe Green or Aaron Donald. No doubt about the career path or whatnot, but
I'm gonna have to go
Trey.
tackle. I think it cause more hell going to the middle.
Yeah, I'm tackle because the game's starting. I'm tackle because the game's starting to air itself out. So I need somebody that can protect him.
Because you can slide the protection to a tackle. You can flip the double team. You double team it in the interior. That's leaving somebody else maybe on the edge free or they're alone. I'm going to send an A-gap blitz. It's like when you take him, what are you going to do? And that quarterback, you make them so uncomfortable when that pop pressure there, and it makes them like. Remember that clip of Sam Darnold when they caught him on the sideline and seeing ghosts. That's how you make the quarterback see ghosts. And that's how you see that overthrow where it's just like, because he's so used to that pressure, his mental clock is just off.
Right. And if you get a tackle who can actually get sacks, I mean, Donald, he got not only a problem in the middle, he got sacks also. So he didn't need to come off the edge in order to get to the quarterback. So, I mean, that's just a rare overall. That's why I think I'll choose the tackle also, because that's just,
Could think about the offensive side of the ball. They spend a lot of money on the left tackles protecting the outside.
Right.
Okay, you're going to get a dominant force from the defense from the inside. Mm-hmm. While this tackle's so busy worrying about protecting his QB's back, his blind side, that defenders just come up. And quarterbacks, once you see pressure in the middle, it's damn near game over.
Right. Now, I would say it matters what defense you're playing. I think the tackle becomes more important in a 4-3 versus a 3-4. So I don't think you can have as much impact. I think your nose tackle, if anything, is going to be more of a factor in a 3-4 because you got somebody who needs stuff to run up the middle. But in a 4-3 type of defense, I'm definitely taking a tackle.
I think if you say nose tackle, I just think of Naha Ravens.
All right. And just speaking of that, I mean, are we seeing more? Because I know, like, NFL's gone through transitions over the years, right? Like, back in those, for as long as I've been watching football, the 70s, the 80s, it was always about the front four. All right, so the New York Sack Exchange, Steel Curtain, Purple People Eaters, or wherever you want it. And then we went to the 3-4 because, again, you got the faster edges. But do you think that, just you guys, all played football, for longer than I did. So what do you think just, what's just a better defensive scheme just overall, the 4-3 or the 3-4? Or would you, if you guys played in the position, what would you prefer?
I would say in today's game, it does not matter just because you are in a 4-2-5 most of the game. You will have two backers that are off ball that are playing, that you need to play the pass and play the run. So it's just not a liability. And you got your two dominant edge rushers and your two interior guys there. That is what you're in most of the game. So the base doesn't matter. But I would say I know the 3-4 can be tough for quarterbacks to deal with. But it's tough to get that mix of the two edges because they're going to take on those blocks. And then you got the one interior, that big guy that's going to take on those blocks. And, it's tough to have those two edges that can, hey, on this down, I'm playing outside in the base and I'm holding up the box. And then I'm switching inside. And then one's coming out the field and your linebackers are coming down. I would say the base of having that 4-3 where it's like if you can get that prototypical end like Myles Garrett, who's built in a lab that can dunk, that can, 270 and just, moving like that. And you have that other edge that maybe that's your fast guy, got the two interiors. That is the toughest thing because it's like, man, I got to deal with this all day. And those linebackers just run free like that. So I feel like that is the take. And fellas, I'm gonna have to miss out on part of the shots, man. My guy, I gotta go.
Figures you're gonna jump out because I was gonna ask you what the heck is going on with your Cowboys, man. Crickets. Crickets, interesting.
What I will say is this: as a Cowboys fan, it's like this. The only thing I can say is the contracts. I'm tired of the contract stuff. I wish it could get done, but I will say this: the tackle that we took, Tyler Guyton, the clips I seen when the pass came on. Had some good reps against Michael Parsons, one of the best in the business. So if you can see that, every day and you can compete against him, I'm glad. Game one, we got Myles Garrett that I just gave out that praise to. That send help, chip, do what we can to scheme around that. But I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from him. And I know that there was a guy that leaked a report about CeeDee Lamb in the deal. We still haven't seen the deal done, and all the beat reporters. Because it is tough. There's so many good beat reporters for the Cowboys, but the Cowboys normally give that scoop as an organization to the national guy. So, and I know RP, Mortensen that passed away was somebody they had a good relationship with. I think they're good with Jay Glazer. I know Jay Glazer is good with Mike McCarthy. So I would say, depending on who you see it from, it's probably real. And then the local beat guys, the Mike Fishers, the Bobby Belts, the Clarence E. Hill Jr.'s for Star Telegram, my local paper, those guys will get the information. But from what they've heard, it was like the Cowboys have talked to Lamb, but not having it. I think Lamb is clearly number one. I think at this point, they are prepared for Dak to go into the season with no deal. And then Micah, they can wait on that one. So it is what it is. They're still kind of sorting that one out. But I do think you'll see CD get done here soon.
Awesome. All right, man. Go handle your business. Again, great show as always. Shawnee, pass it off to you for your closing thought.
Well, my closing thought is, watching these Olympics and whatnot and seeing just the various stories and stuff was going on. Because Olympics, it's only 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. It's so much action going on. You would think it is longer, but it's amazing how short it is. But yeah, I like the fact that you get to watch sports that you normally don't really watch. You're not going to take time to watch. So I've been entertained by these Olympics so far. But yeah, going back to Dante talked about, I guess, the lack of noise from the Cowboys. I saw somewhere, I don't think there was ever a number to verify, but the fans, how fans be going to watch their respective teams and training camps. And so, the Cowboys, they go to Oxnard, California for their training camp. And I saw something saying like the fans that was there said that it felt like there was not as many fans watching, coming to the practice like there has been in years past. And I'm like, yeah, here in DFW, there's always been fans that have been frustrated with the Cowboys, in particular with Jerry and whatnot. But I have a feeling like this off season, it's been a lot more. It's been more louder. The disappointment has just been the frustration. I should say it's been louder than it has been in recent years past. You can listen to when you listen to their flagship station, the one that the Joneses will go and do interviews on.
Right.
They even frustrated, So you just hear it from all over now. It's basically they don't know what to do with the team. They can get all the regular season success. Before the Cowboys did it with these three back-to-back, 3 straight 12-win seasons, I don't think they had a back-to-back double-digit win season since 95. So they having success, but it's all in the regular season.
Right.
And then with the struggles that's been going on, I think it got amped up a little bit more this offseason when Jerry talking about they was all in and then proceeded to literally do nothing. Got a quarterback who I do not blame. He was just sitting, him and his agent, they just sitting. A lot of people who, we was talking about it earlier about the 5 young quarterbacks who got this extension, and I'm looking at some of the comments. Trey in particular, he was like, man, they all overpaid. Trade them this, trade them that. He gonna be pissed off as hell when Dak get his money. If it's not the Cowboys, because the thing about with Dak, you do not see, if ever, a quarterback of Dak's stature even reach free agency. His respective team normally lock him down. So Dak now is about to, all right, there's people out there who's complaining about Dak could potentially be a $60 million quarterback. That could potentially go 65, 70 if he reached that open market. So there's some people, there's going to be some pissed off people really looking at some quarterback pockets, because when Dak get his money, so he's not tripping about his contract not being extended right now. So it's I don't know. I don't really know what the hell Cowboys doing, man. Sometimes I think they kind of got this confidence about what they did in the past, but it's not translated to the future, So I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's optimistic going in.
Yeah.
And people call me bad for being critical of my my Celtics or my Steelers or whatever, but that's a pretty depressing take, bro. Oh man, let me drop mine in, because I always like to see Brother Trey always close us out. So yeah, just on the boxing front, unfortunately, I know I posted earlier. It looked like we had a done deal with Tank Davis fighting Shakur, but that fight doesn't seem to be yet in the cards as of yet, so they might have jumped the gun on that. It looks like they may take on other options prior to that, so I'm hoping we get a fight in sometime in November, but the wheels are still spinning, so nothing's actually confirmed, nothing's set in stone as of yet, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the next offering for them. You do have a decent card this weekend, though, so again, on DAZN, You have in Saudi Arabia, Bud Crawford makes his return to the ring after 1 year off, so he's moving up to 154 to fight Israel Madrimov, who is the current champion at 154. This might be a dangerous fight for Crawford. I think, again, 1 year off. He's 36 years old. He hasn't fought in a year. Moving up in weight. This guy has a solid amateur background. So I think, I think he can certainly edge this out, but it wouldn't surprise me, given the rust and whatnot, that this is going to be a much tougher fight for Crawford than expected. I know they're trying to, build up to a big day, him trying to fight Canelo Alvarez for a big money fight. The Saudis want it. They willing to fork over the money for it, so that's what they're building up to. So he has to get past Madrimov if a fight like that is going to happen. They're talking about possibly $200 million for that fight that the Saudis are willing to pay for. So, so he's got a lot riding on the line. I think if he tries to overlook Madrimov, I think he might be in for it, but I'll pick him by decision to win the fight. And the card itself looks good. You also have Isaac Pitbull Cruz. He's fighting on his card as well. And what's interesting about that is that he might be the guy, actually, that at the end of the day, he might be the guy that Tank Davis ultimately fights in November. They fought earlier. Tank won a decision, but it was a tough, grueling fight. Pitbull Cruz, he's the champion at 140. And so, again, they might be looking to set up that fight left, because I think he has more crowd-pleasing style than Shakur Stevenson. But, a decent card going on. I guess some young heavyweight prospects here. You also have Andy Ruiz, former first Mexican heavyweight champion. He's on that card. And then you also have Jared Anderson, who's an up-and-comer, 17-0 record. He's featured a lot on ESPN, so he's going to be on that card also. So a decent card that DAZN put together. And so more like I may be checking out this fight over the weekend. But, good action in the boxing arena. But hopefully we can get this fight with Tank going sometime in November. We'll see him back in the ring. And hopefully we can, set up these fights for next year. So that's all I have on the boxing front. And I'll turn it over to Trey.
Well, Mr. Ben, you're not going to bring up that the Tyson Paul
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Listen, I'm. In fact, Manny Pacquiao did an exhibition this past weekend. Also, I did not watch it. I'm not up for these. I think it sullies the reputation of the. I mean, look, go get your money, I guess, if you need to get your money. But these sort of cross sport matches or exhibitions with guys who are fighting too long, it does nothing. Manny couldn't do anything with a guy who's an MMA guy. So it's already telling you can't even handle an MMA guy. It's time to hang it up. So they were talking about some aspirations. He may fight another guy at 140 or 147 for a title. It's like, look, if you can't take care of an MMA guy, you got no business in the ring with a top champion or contender. So again, I will more than likely I will not be watching a Jake Paul Mike Tyson whenever it happens. The fight apparently is back on. Tyson had an injury, but in fact, it wasn't even training related or anything. I think he had some sort of heart issues or something respiratory or something. So again, I'm not looking forward to that. Will not be reporting on it unless something dramatic happens. That I hope they both come out safe. But I don't think that such things are good for boxing. I like paying attention to what's really out there. And there's a lot of good fights that still need to be made. Again, Bud Crawford. Again, pound for pound. You're looking at pound for pound the best fighter in the world. He's making his return. So I would definitely focus your attention on that, rather than these exhibitions and money grabs that these other promotions are trying to do. So that's my take on the
WWE.
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well. Because I think his brother is in WWE, Paul's brother. So hey, you might as well do something in that space. In fact, Bud Crawford was on WWE. He was on. Yeah. So yeah. So hey, pick up that check. But with that, Trey, you can close this out.
No, man, listen, it's the summertime, man. We in the thick of the summer. The Olympics going on. Football training camp, man. Everybody should be working out, getting in shape. I think we got a little Hall of Fame game tomorrow, so don't expect to see a whole lot of superstars. I expect, first round picks. It's going to be just people trying to make the roster. Shout out to, I'm anxious to see the track with Sha'Carri Richardson, She's been through a lot the last few years. Hopefully she can come out victorious and go on and be the idol that hopefully she wants to be, or she scaled it back a little bit. So I'm just excited for them, and I wonder with the absence of Caitlin Clark and what's the young lady's name?
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
I wonder if their presence in the Olympics would have just glorified the female basketball even greater, because they would have been a big draw.
Absolutely. And speaking of you had just made a point about I just forgot the point that you made. What was it's late, man, but you had made a point about what?
Was it about football, the basketball?
Oh yeah, one thing about the Hall of Fame game I think everybody will be looking forward to. I know they got these new kickoff rules, so I think a lot of people will be watching. Yeah, so they're going to implement that new rule this year, so everyone's going to be seeing whether and how this is going to play out and whatnot and what it looks like. So that might be another reason to watch, because I know teams are trying to just kind of get their hands around it.
How do you feel about all these recent rule changes the NFL have been trying to explore?
Well, some of them, honestly, I didn't even know some of these were rules. Like you can't, it said no onside kicks in the until the fourth quarter. I don't recall they were doing onside kicks in the first half. I think I
can remember.
There's been a few.
I think it,
but it's relatively rare. I mean, it's like something like you had to make a rule out of that.
Exactly. It don't happen too much for it to be a rule. Somebody
exactly. So I don't see what the rule to codify that in a rule. There was another one that was kind of bogus. And as far as the onside kick, like you got to let everybody know that you're doing an onside kick.
Exactly.
What's the point, right? If I got to tell you I'm going to onside kick the ball, what's the point, So yeah, it's so I think it's just a much rules with no meaning, so to speak. So I don't know.
The thing about the onside kick is supposed to be by surprise. Now I got to tell you, hey, y'all go ahead and set up your defense. We might kick it over.
They took that out a few years ago, because remember you could put everybody on one side. They took that out, so now everybody had to stay on both sides.
They're trying to eliminate all this collision stuff, because I think we still going to see the new kickoff rules.
Yes.
They kind of got like a hybrid from what they got from the XFL.
Correct. Like I said, that's what's going to be that's going to debut in the Hall of Fame game. So again, that's why. No, it's definitely. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, in fact, I didn't even get the. I don't even remember the class of 2024. Let me quickly. Let me look that up.
Devin Hester. Who else was on that list?
I thought Hester was already in. Wasn't he in last year?
Andre Johnson. A lot of the more
recent players. Who else was on that list?
Hold up.
Dwight Freeney. So it's Dwight Freeney, Randy Gradishar, which is a long time. That's one of them legacy picks from way back in the day. He was part of the Orange Crush of the Denver Broncos back in the 70s. Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Steve McMichael.
I forgot Patrick Willis.
Julius Peppers, Patrick Willis. I don't know, guys. I mean, I know that I know Dion, he's been big on this sort of overtime here. I know we got to close out soon, but I know Dion, he's always been critical of the Hall of Fame, basically saying it's the Hall of the very good, that, there's certain guys in the Hall that shouldn't be. He came out and said certain guys, he wouldn't name anybody, but there's certain guys in the Hall that shouldn't be there. So does this sound like a Hall of Fame class? I may give you Julius Peppers, who's like a no doubt Hall of Famer, but everybody else, I mean,
Andre Johnson definitely belongs in there.
Yeah,
you think so?
But
yeah,
So you're a Houston, Texas fan. You see?
Because he was like when I was going about the receivers and the quarterbacks.
He was good.
They didn't when he was playing. They didn't get a lot of attention. It was only a short time frame. Yep. I mean, he probably would have been. I can imagine type of numbers if he would have been playing with Watson.
Yeah,
but
now
he definitely belonged. But
the most unusual selection to me, and I'm just thinking about career-wise, is your boy Patrick Willis, man.
Look at
again, very good, but was he like? I mean,
he was, but it was short.
I ain't never seen a career that short.
Yeah, 7 years. Well, the only other guy I know that short was the running back for the Broncos. Had a 2,000-yard season.
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis, yeah, his was cut short because of the injury. So, Yeah, I don't know. Nothing about this class is like thrilling. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's the first. That's at Peppers. I know, he had several years where he was a dog in the league. You definitely heard his name and had the game plan for him. But some of these other guys, again, Steve McMichael. I mean, that Bears team had a lot of guys on there that made up that '85 Bears team. So I don't know. This is
that Willis Navarro Bowman duo. They was it was nice. Tough. They were nice. I still remember that hit that Willis did on what was that receiver name? Brad Smith. He came across the middle, looked like he just damn near just made that boy to an instant limp.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, usually I look forward. Actually, it's one of the things I actually look forward to. I love hearing the speeches. I'm a big Hall of Fame speech guy. A lot of those guys, they give their testimonies and whatnot. So it's really good. But there's no one in this class where I'm like, man, I can't wait to hear this guy, come in. So I'm, so I don't know. This I'm not getting the tinglies over waiting for guys to go in. But hey, look, you pay your dues in the NFL, you get selected. Congratulations to these players. But definitely there's not a guy that's just flashing. But again, Peppers, I think he played so long also. But he had some decent years when he was at Carolina, no doubt. So, but
I ever seen those videos, the knock that the respective Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They'd be nice.
Yeah, and that guy passed away. The guy, real big guy. He was like a really.
Yeah. Oh, he did.
Yeah, he passed. Yeah, but definitely.
They said that they know that they're being voted on, but they don't know the outcome.
And they got to stand. That's why I think they did away, because before they used to have the players in the hotel rooms. Now, I think since COVID, they've been like going to the people's homes and stuff like that, rather than, because that sucks. I mean, you made the finals.
The families be there.
Yeah, but you made the finalists. They fly you up there and everything, and then you find out that you're not in the hall. You know what I mean? I think that happened to Terrell Owens like 2 or 3 times. So I think the last time he was like, I'm not saying, and I think that's the year he got in. So it's sure it must be stressful. Yeah, but definitely congrats to these guys who paid their dues in the NFL. And but with that, we come to the end of another edition of the One-on-One Sports Show. Again, thank you guys in the chat. Shout out to you guys for coming in. Ragnar Runner, you made the cut just before we close out. So again, appreciate all you guys who came in tonight. 183307. Again, thank you for stopping through as well. But I am Mr. Bennett. He is Trey Furr. It's my brother Shawnee over to the left of me, and then our man Dante. Again, this has been a One-on-One Sports Show. We see you guys next week. Take care. See you next time.
Peace.